The Oklahoma Sooners did exactly as expected. They gave it to the Temple Owls 42-3. We're about to react here live on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you all for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there for tuning in and subscribing to the show. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So download the FanDuel app today. It's an unfair sports takeover of Locked On. We got Coop from over there on Unfair Sports. As y'all know, me, Jay, over at Unfair Sports as well. You can follow both of us at the handles on the screen. And we're going to talk through the dominant performance by the Sooners against the Temple Owls. They win the game 42-3 in a way that we actually expected. But Coop, when I looked at my initial reaction to this game, I was hoping it'd have been like 63-3, but I think I'm okay with it being 42-3.
I mean, I chose 55-7. And I feel like we left some points on the board on offense, and we did better on defense. I thought there would be, at some point, they would break through, get, advantageous field position, which they did. But, Jay, I think that it's easy to say that this defense is not only good and what we expected, but maybe a little bit better than we expected.
Yeah, when I looked at thinking about the way this defense is playing, it's playing some like ridiculous football right now. I went to go look at the game stats because I needed to see exactly what we did. Coop, do you know how many yards we gave up in this game? I'm assuming you probably saw, but do you have a guess on that potentially?
Jay, during the last drive of the game, I snapped a photo of my TV and it says 97.
Awesome. The game final numbers, 104 is what they gave them. They gave them 104 yards. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a defense that we all hoped for. 104 yards given up in this game. 74 in the pass, 26 in the run. This is everything we hoped for, mainly because the Temple Owls decided that they wanted to poke the bear by putting up this graphic before the game, right? So they put this out there. This was like... yeah, we've got a lot of disrespect that we needed to provide back. This is why I wanted it to be 63-3-ish, because I wanted us to make sure that we reminded them, hey, man, putting Baker's mugshot next to your truck was not cool. But the good thing is we still cooked them.
This was going to be a sleepy environment that I think Temple last year, I think we were talking during the game, Temple last year had like an average attendance of like 13,000. There roughly were 29,000 there at the game. Some of the people that we're close to were saying that's 2-3-1 OU fans. You just show up. You how do you handle success? Like, this team has done a good job against inferior competition. Sneak up on you. Sneak up on them. Like, you don't want to start calling shots and start saying what's going to happen, because OU kind of needed motivation beyond just, goals. And you do something like that, like, what's the benefit? Does that get you jacked up a little bit more? I mean, if anything, I would say, it was a calculated risk, and it did not end up well.
It did not. And there was actually one thing me and you talked about last Wednesday over on the other channel in preparation for this game. The one thing we needed to see and that we wanted to see, that we had to see out of this team, is we needed to see a run game. We needed to see some dominance on the offensive line, pushing people around and getting some runs. And so, Coop, when you look at the actual statistics from this game, Oklahoma put up 228 yards on the ground, 100 yards from Tawee Blaylock. We'll talk about that in the next segment in a moment. But overall, the run game gave us the numbers, man. How are you feeling about the run game as it's starting to begin to take its shape as we're moving closer and closer in the season?
You saw some explosive plays. You saw the 25-yard carry by Torrey. The biggest run. I mean, I got to think that at that point in the season, it's the biggest run of the season. And then Mateer, the very next play, goes 51 untouched, ends up in the end zone to cap off his day. We said we wanted to see a 100-yard rusher. We wanted to see 200 yards. We got both of those things, but you also saw some chunks. You saw 15 by Michael. You saw 15 by X. You saw a couple of the 10-plus yard carries by Tawee. Tawee's not even healthy yet. I mean, he's not even 100%, and this is what he's doing. And you're running explicitly vanilla offensive calls still at this point against this opponent. So could you come off the rock? Could you get some explosive play in the run game? You did. Is it still there? Are we still happy? No. I can promise you, Bill, DeMarco, Arbuckle, Brent Venables, all those guys are still looking for a little bit more. And again, you're playing without Mike Fasusi because sitting him out with kind of precautionary. So I still think that this team continues to get better and better and better, and kind of a la Baker and the 15 team going into Knoxville. Not directly there. They just kept on getting better every single week. And I think that's why the trajectory that we're seeing right now. You just didn't want to see 118 yards and 3-point yards per carry or something like that at the end of the game.
Yeah, you didn't want to give up a whole bunch. And, of course, they got the field goal specifically because we decided to turn the ball over. You know, the John Mateer passes in kind of tight windows. We're praying for Keontez Lewis. We'll find out about more from him. Brent Venables will be doing his post game here in a few minutes. And so it looks like around 3:15 is what they got scheduled for. So we'll probably be done streaming about that time so that we can go right into Brent Venables' post-game presser so that we can get an understanding of the players and the injuries and stuff. We had a few people that got banged up. I think I saw and heard on the radio broadcast that Dominic Williams hit the 10 a little bit. Marvin Jones Jr. did as well. So we saw a little bit of collateral damage in this victory, but I think that those players should hopefully be good to go going forward. Health-wise, we've been pretty healthy, knock on wood, for this season, Coop. I am very happy that at least at that point, a lot of the keyest of key players are still floating around. But let's talk a little bit about how this team has dominated them, because, yeah, I know that it would have been nice to like get more points. But Coop, when I'm watching the routes that are being ran, the catches, let's go ahead and just throw the flowers out there. Jaron Kanik, obviously he's tight end one, and he's playing like it right now. It appears that him and Mateer have a very, very good chemistry so far into this season.
Yeah, and you can go towards several different things. The first big play last week against Michigan, but in the third quarter, you go 3 and out your first possession. You know, in our Discord chat, kind of game day chat, I think a lot of us said that next possession was like, all right, this is where you need to see it. I think it was a 3rd and 10. And we had to have it. So who does he go to? Jaron Kanik. So you hear a lot the adage in football that the tight end could be a good safety blanket, and it seems that Jaron Kanik has not only become that, but he's earned it. And you know, this is a guy who played quarterback / running back, kind of a wing T type of a guy in high school. He tried the linebacker thing out. We thought it was a cute story. We said it on our show. It's not a cute story anymore. Like, dude's legitimately a tight end. He is tight end one, and he reminds me of Chris Cooley. In Oklahoma, I think he went to the University of Tulsa, played for the then called the Redskins. And was a guy that just always just found a way to get to the ball. And that's who Kanik reminds me of. And I don't even think that he is fully just in the flow of that position yet. And that's the great thing about this offense is I think that we see so much growth throughout the rest of the year as you kind of catch a flow. I mean, these guys are still, you've played now 3 games. 2 of them you've gone vanilla. 1 of them you had to really get into game planning. We're going to see more and more as we go along.
Yeah, and it felt like, honestly, as the game was going on, and some of you probably didn't notice, as Coop mentioned, we were going pretty vanilla in some of the games. Michigan, we did not. We decided to throw more mixes in there. And it felt like, to me, the way the play call was going by Arbuckle, he did 2 things that I noticed personally. One it did look like he was trying things out, like he was out there testing to see what he can be successful with and not, and just playing around with, different calls and everything, mainly because we never felt threatened in this game. We never felt like this game was ever going to get out of hand. And the way this defense is playing, I don't care what anybody else says, this defense just showed something. And we'll talk about that in the last segment, because I didn't really want to dive into this run game coming up after in just a couple minutes, but we got a lot out of the second thing really is we got a lot out of John Mateer out there really just toying around with this game. You could tell that they were testing out plays because they knew that they didn't have any concerns, and they were actually going out there getting John Mateer more statistics to get ready for this Heisman campaign. We have to pad a little bit of stats just in case SEC plays a little bit tougher than we anticipate, while at the same time, I think that this offense and the fact that Arbuckle's really good at managing time, like really good. He's showing us that he can handle doing tempo and not doing tempo. And that was the one biggest question, Coop, that we all had going into the season, because that was honestly the biggest question we had when Levy was here. Can someone run the right tempo the right time, as well as take their time and, let the offense kind of flow to make sure that you don't exhaust your defense? This defense gave up 3 points only because we threw an interception, and that was the Keontez Lewis pass. Again, we're hoping that he's better. It looked like he's probably concussed. I'm assuming Brent Venables is going to confirm that on his press conference. But the offense was everything that we hoped for and more. So before we jump into the running back room, I really want to talk about how I think Tawee Blaylock, Coop, is now RB1. Let's dive into that a little bit here on Locked On Sooners. And this episode is brought to you by our friends over there at 5 Hour Energy. Caffeine is just a flavored upgrade. 5 Hour Energy shot delivers tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each shot packed with caffeine in a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus 8 vitamins and minerals with zero sugar and what? Zero crash. One of those things that I deal with all the time is I get crashed midday or late day. So I'll grab a 5 Hour Energy, especially the berry flavor. I'm a basic guy. I'll do that. I'll grab that and I'll use that to refresh myself throughout the day, especially because today I'm going to have to be up all day long watching college football, mainly because it's an addiction and I love college football. So the 5 Hour Energy does a great job of keeping me up. So enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to get your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5 Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites you love, or be bold and try something new in store and online at 5hourenergy.com or at Amazon today. And thanks again for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there for tuning and subscribing to the show. Shout out to Coop, as Unfair Sports is taking over Locked On Sooners for the day. I want to talk about the running backs. Tawee Blaylock, 14 carries, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. And that one touchdown where he broke to the outside and just took it, good thing. Now, Coop, when I'm looking at this is all first glance, of course, instant reaction. I'm going to go rewatch this game later today as well as first thing in the morning. But when I first watched, there were some holes on the inside that he found. He seemed to find them. Others could not. But he did a really good job of bouncing to the outside and just using his speed to pick up yards. How'd you feel about Tawee Blaylock locking up RB1?
Again, I'll start out by saying he's not even 100% yet. I think that shoulder, is they probably pulled him at the 100 mark in the 14 carries because you don't need that anymore. Next week you're going to go against a little bit more of a stiffer run defense in the Auburn Tigers. But he does. He's got the wiggle. He sees he sees lanes and he hits them. He's not indecisive. And the guy's still just learning to play at this level too. So this kind of seems, everybody always asks me on like a comp for Tawee Blaylock. He kind of seems like a thinner, speedier version of DeMarco. And he's got some thump to him, but at the same time, he's got a little bit of a stand-up type of a run. But you look through all social medias, you look at everybody that we're talking to, and it's I think it's a pretty much done deal right now. He is RB1 because when he gets his opportunities, he takes advantage of them. and there's no excuses in his way. And I got to shout out to his pops, because that comes from dad. Comes from dad 100%. Is you take advantage of the opportunity. His dad's been just a, kind of a showing the Tory bat signal in the social medias since mid fall camp. But dude's just finding his gape. He's got the capability to get in there and get a tough yard, but he also, he's falling forward. Unless he's getting grabbed like after handoff, like he's falling forward, and that's what you need.
Exactly. He's finding little holes and stuff. And now the truth, no ways or parties for me at all. I'm enjoying the fact that this run game is everything we hope for and more. And like you said, Coop, he is finding holes that, like I said, other players are not seeing right now. Now, not DeMarco, but Javante Barnes, who kind of reminds me of DeMarco in some capacities. He was finding moments where he was finding little inches here and there. And when I saw that he only had like 12 yards on 4 carries, it did not feel right. It did not feel like that was an accurate number, but it was. He only finished the game 5 carries, 12 yards. He had a 6-yard run that made me say, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Okay, he was finding some stuff up front, but when he was trying to go to the outside is when you started running into problems or whatnot." But the good thing though for Oklahoma has been that Blaylock is not only going on the inside, so defenses are going to have to crowd the interior. He's running on the outside too and outrunning those edges. So even when the edges try to set them, they're not. And I got to give some love to the wide receiver room as well, because they're doing a solid job of blocking to where he can hit that outside and go. That to me is massive for the way that this team is playing. We got to have a run game. If you're going to be successful in this conference, you've got to be able to have a consistent run game that keeps the clock running. And that's kind of where I talk about in the first segment of here is, as long as we're able to keep that clock churning, man, it's going to help us a ton. And so, but we had X-Rob come in. He got 5 carries, 26 yards. Actually, I'll pop this up because I'm looking right at it. 5 carries, 26 yards. We had Michael Hawkins that gave us, he ran a little bit. But we had a Jaden Ott sighting, Coop. All right, so I got to know, first reaction on this. How you feeling about Ott? Because I kind of think he looks like he's a little nervous about taking shots on that shoulder.
That's what it looks like is... If folks are still, and I think that a lot of this is projected because some of the words that Brent Venables has said in SEC media days, the focus on what it took to go out and get him out of the portal. He is a guy who it looks like he is worried about taking some of those shots. And you watch any type of NFL, college football at a high level, and any commentator, any ex-player will say when you play trying not to get hurt, that's typically when those things happen. So something needs to be unlocked in Jaden Ott where it's just, man, screw it. I'm going balls to the wall here because it's right now his stats are not very attractive. And I do think that there's still capabilities, but they want to see him go out there and like Tawee Blaylock. Take advantage of the opportunities that you have. I saw a couple runs in the fourth quarter where it looked like he had a little bit more of lanes, and if he just hits it and sticks his foot in the ground and goes, he has 5-6 yards more on those runs. But the indecisiveness because of that shoulder seems to be the thing that's holding him back. So, I don't think this is not a Ben Arbuckle, DeMarco Murray, Brent Venables. This is who in practice is showing me that you're going to stick your nose up in there and get it, because Jay, there were only 3,000-yard rushers in the SEC last year. So 3 in total. And why I say that is you don't have to average 150 yards, 120 yards a game. You just have to be able to, when you have the rock in your hand, go get me 3, go get me 3+. And, move it, make it to where the defense has to respect it and has to pay attention to it. And the difference in putting your foot in the ground and getting those 3 versus trying to, kind of weed around them, that could be the difference in, it's but it's, a 3rd and 8 versus a 3rd and 5.
Yeah, and a lot of people, and I agree with you here, that I think people are panicking with Ott right now. And I get why people think it's a bust, feel like we overpaid for somebody or whatnot, but he was lighting up our defense. Remember, he was lighting up our defense in practice like crazy. And then that's when he had the shoulder injury. So for him, he had spent all last season dealing with an ankle situation, and he played on it. He should have probably sat for a couple of weeks and would have probably ended up in the NFL, because a lot of teams were already scouting him as a back. That was even what Nagy was talking about. So many teams were looking at him to go pro. That's who they were going for. And Cal is known for putting out some really good NFL running backs. Let's just keep that in mind. I mean, Marshawn Lynch did come from there. So did JJ Arrington. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're known for putting out some really, really solid running backs. And so the big circumstance, though, to me around Ott is we just got to let him get to the point where we feel like he is going to get comfortable. But the good thing for us, though, is that we've got Tawee Blaylock out there. We also got John Mateer. Remember, John Mateer out here, 7 carries, 63 yards, and a touchdown. He's also going to be forcing teams to be respectful to the run game, because he'll be able to not only avoid sacks, he'll be able to step up and go get those yards too. Now, granted, he may end up giving up a few sacks because he likes to just kind of kick it. He get a little comfortable shaking and baking folks. But yeah, if there's anything that I have questions in this run game is, do we actually have 4 running backs that we feel truly comfortable with? I know that we have 3. We haven't seen Tatum yet, but I do think X-Rob is going to get himself grooving once he gets that hammy situation handled. At some point, we know Tawee Blaylock is that dude, so we're good that he's going to be the one that's going to be running between the tackles in just about every game we play. And Javonte Barnes is just going to be reliable. I know a lot of people ain't liking to hear this, but he's going to be reliable. That's what it is. And so for Ott, it's going to be the mental toughness that I feel like he's going to need to come up with in order to make sure he is ready to go. Speaking of ready to go, though, Coop, I kind of want to talk about this defense. We're going to jump in and talk about them next up here on the live reaction on Locked On Sooners. And of course, this episode is brought to you by our fans over at FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel make sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Remember, Oklahoma was a roughly 22.5 point favorite in this game, and they easily covered this spread with a 39-point win. So, of course, you're going to make things a little bit more exciting. Jump into the FanDuel app if you can. You can watch them on your fantasy lineups, as well as, if you're able to, jump on those bets. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by using FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. And once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners live reaction your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there for tuning in and subscribing to the show. Brent Venables is on the podium right now, so we will go jump over and watch that after we finish this live. But Coop, I want to talk about something that I was very happy about in this game. The defense, dog. And let me explain why. Me and Coop will probably dive into this even more on Sunday evening when we go live over on Locked On Sooners, so feel free to check that out. And me and John will talk about it more on Monday. But Temple was averaging over 500 yards of offense in their first 2 games of the season. They did this against, UMass and Howard. I understand. But remember, if a team is going to be any good or competent in any capacity, they take care of the team that they're supposed to take care of. That's the only thing that matters. That's the most important thing. And I say that specifically because in this game, Oklahoma's defense took care of this team the way they were supposed to. Dude, we gave up 104 yards of total offense. Isn't that kind of what we all wanted? Didn't we want this team to be able to be a defense this ridiculous? This is the lowest amount of yards a Brent Venables defense since his second coming here at Oklahoma has given up to a FBS team. Like the last one was, I think it was Arkansas State. We did like 140 something, 150 something. We gave up only 104 yards of total offense. And even with the turnovers and mistakes, Coop, we still did a great job of saying, nah, we're not going to let you get any points. You're going to take these field goals and be happy with it. And somebody pointed out here, think this is something to really talk about. Dog, Stone. How you were going to look crazy in the Discord. How'd you feel about it, dog?
Jay, can you sustain this? Like, I want to really preach this because I said it on our show on Sunday. Can you sustain this defensive output? You know why I think that it's very much a yes is we're averaging right now like 52 snaps on defense. That means you're getting in, you're shutting down, and you're moving forward. We played 54 snaps on defense. What was it? 27 carries, 27 passes. If the mathematics are correct, that's 54. Looking to last year because the offense was so something else, we were out there for 60, 70 plays. And so what this matter is you're averaging 17 to 20 plays less per game on defense. And how does that get initiated? You live in the backfield. I put a post out the other day on X that I said David Stone's spending more time in the opponent's backfield than the running back is. And it is almost every single day, every single game, he's back there. Jaden Jackson is pushing folks in the backfield, and it is collapsing from the inside. These guys are getting the ball out as fast as humanly possible. And so to hold them down to a 78 yards passing, 26 yards rushing, there wasn't the big explosive play. Longest play you give up all day is a 20-yard run to the Ducker Cat. Yep. That's what a lot of the backups. Yeah. And that's with a lot of the backups in there, too. And what happened? There was a little bit of a timeout. Brent Venables got up in it, and they came back out, and they just started shutting it down. What I really love, Jay, is the 3rd and shorts today. Not only did we stone them, we got them for negative carries, negative yards.
Stone them. I love the word. Stone.
I mean, exactly. Is you are playing and pushing the line of scrimmage 2-3 yards back in the backfield. So you end up with 4 sacks, 11 tackles for loss. Just saying that 11 of the 54 snaps, that's 20% of the time they try to run a play, you tackle them for a loss. I mean, that's a good recipe.
It is. And somebody mentioned it here, too, that with Gentry still being rusty, he did play a little bit in the beginning, if I'm correct, but Kendall Dobie was the one that played most of the game. It was Kendall Dobie with Cortland Guillory out there, and then Devon Jordan came in later. I'm not sure who Tristan Haynes came in. It was the other corner was Tristan Haynes that got some more run. I didn't see Jacoby Johnson, which is kind of a surprise. I'm going to go back, of course.
I did see him. I saw him in there a few times.
You saw Jacoby out there? Okay. He didn't get any stats, so I was just curious if he was playing some, but the anticipation is that we'll probably see more Jacoby with Dobie. So yeah, this is some of the good stuff in the DB room. We've got some really solid ones. We got some good play. Gentry, like I said, he hurt his groin in the last game, and so I think this is what BB mentioned, and he took a break. And they really didn't play him as much. This game, I know Dobie played majority of the snaps, and he finished with 4 tackles, 4 of them solo with a tackle for a loss. Coop, that is to me a big plus out of him, especially with him quote unquote returning from dealing with injuries throughout not only last season but also dealing with injuries in camp.
Jay, I mean, your defensive backs don't have to be elite if the ball's coming out in 1.7 seconds every dadgum snap. That's 3 games in a row that the offensive game plan is just get it out. Just get it out as fast as possible. There's maybe, I'd say less than 10 so far to where there was actually pass rush capabilities. And some of those times, Brent Venables he just has a feel for it, and he'll send a safety blitz in. We saw the Halloween brothers. We saw Reggie Powers and Boganowski. Both of those guys in back-to-back weeks have had blitzes off the edge and ended up in a big sack. They both had one today, if I'm not mistaken. But, you look at what Michigan did today, throwing up 63. Underwood looked like that dude that everybody was talking about. Them looking that good today is going to make this even bigger because people are going to be able to line it up. And that was a big concern, Jay, was what is your motivation on defense, if that defensive line? What is your motivation today when you're going out there in a stadium that's, a third of the way filled and most of them being, I mean Sooner fans, but you didn't hear any cheering. You didn't hear any like manufacturing of noise to mess up the. They did that in a rainy spring game attendance type of an atmosphere for for what we saw there today. So defensive backs, they just you continue to rotating guys in. And Jay, I'm not super concerned about the turnover margin at this point, and the reason why is we're not getting them because there's not opportunities. We forced a couple fumbles. We had a couple of I think it was Taylor Wine created one here today, but the ball's just not traveling downfield. I mean, everything is happening. Every offense we play looks like our offense last year.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Our defense is making everybody else's offense look very inept and look terrified. They have to change everything they're doing in order to compete against us. And to even answer this question, Jake is asking the question about the two kickers and kicking field goals. You kind of want to see what you got, and now you got live snaps. Remember, in this game, there was not one moment where any of us thought Oklahoma had a chance of losing it. Like, zero moments. After the kickoff, and we held them to 1 yard, the next play, we go down 10 plays, 67 yards for a touchdown. We're like, oh, no, we're going to dominate this team. And so we kind of started just doing stuff, like testing things out. We should have had another shutout, but we didn't have the shutout because John Mateer throws an interception. Well, throws a pass that leads to one of our players getting themselves injured, and they just basically caught the ball off of his body. But when you look at these drive summaries, and this is why I pulled this up, I want y'all to see these drive summaries and understand this is what the defense was doing. 3 plays, 1 yard, 3 plays, 6 yards, 6 plays, 17 yards. 3 plays, 6 yards. 3 plays, 7, 421. Like, look at this. 6 plays, 35. I mean, that's us, actually. My bad. So 3 plays, 7. We go down here to us. 10 plays, 54. For us, 4 plays minus 3 yards. Cool. We had so many plays where we just out here just causing like negatives. 635. 1 play, of course, in the half. They 3 plays, negative 1 yards. 3 plays, 10 yards. 3 plays, 4 yards. 3 plays, 4 yards. 11 plays for 27 yards. They had the plays and only could get roughly 2 first downs.
Jay,
I don't think y'all understand that's crazy to me.
Exactly. On the season, OU has held opponents 7 for 41 on third down. That is 17% third down convert rate. And we got a couple fourth down stops there too. So what the reason is for the lack of capabilities for the turnovers is they're not running plays. They're just not able to run plays. And, we've had some ugly offensive possessions in all 3 games. I mean, that's 100% true.
Yep.
But it's causing a lot of mess. I mean, 7 for 41. I'm pretty sure that we were number 1 in the SEC leading into this week. We just got better. I mean, the stats got better.
Exactly. Jonathan asked a question, is this Ott's final year? It is his last year if he doesn't redshirt. Now, granted, he was still beloved by scouts. They were just waiting to see if he'd get healthy. He just got to show up. If he shows up in this SEC schedule, I think his draft stock will be just fine. I think his draft stock will be fine overall. Everybody saw what he could do. They just want to see if he's got the mentals back. So I think he's good. But to even add to that, there was another question here about the R. Mason Thomas situation. That sucked. And I don't believe I don't think that was targeting, but some people have pointed out that it kind of looks like it was he lifted up when he hit him and he was going to swing at the ball. That's going to suck for us going into this game. The only thing that keeps me from being overly stressed, Coop, is that we kind of got a solid 2 deep. I think we're good. I don't like it, but I think we're good.
Here's what has Jackson Arnold been successful at so far in this season? Running. Who is probably the best run defensive end that we got on the team right now? PJ Adeborai. He has balled out. Now, with RMT, from my perspective, it looked like he tried to come off. He knew he wasn't getting there, and he tried to come off. It's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't type of situation, because I feel like if he would have not came off, he would have been shoulder only and would have driven the quarterback and would have probably had to do the whole thing where you try to pull up and just land on him with your arms up type of a situation. But what happened is he pulled up like this, and when he did that, his face went right head face to face. So the team is going to 100%. They're going to
appeal.
to petition
They'll appeal this one,
and they'll appeal it. I got to think that with a good straight up like, hey, here's the thing, you can see that he kind of comes up like this, and that was what led it to him. But if that's the case, you're going to run into situations like this that it happens. So what's that going to mean if RMT has to sit out the first half against Auburn? He's going to be pissed, and he's going to be fresh in the third quarter. And so if it happens. But I do expect an appeal, and I got to say that I just really, really hope that the slowed down film is going to help that case out.
I was pretty annoyed by the fact that they did 2 reviews on targeting for us and did 0 reviews on Temple when one of those plays looked like there was a potential for a target.
At least do the review,
right? At least do the review. I think that was the thing that frustrated most fans is that we all know that you're probably not going to call it. But, dude, give us at least the respect of giving us the review. We do kind of deserve that part, right? We deserve that much respect in that situation. But I don't know. We'll see what that looks like. This is a good question here. Curious to see the 2 Gibsons. I did see Giovanni out there, full pads, ready to go. I think I saw a picture of Jaden, though, when OU put their photos out before the game. I may be mistaken, but I thought I saw a picture of him just in the business fit, getting ready to go. But I don't think Jaden's going to be back anytime soon. That knee injury was kind of devastating, so it looks like they're probably going to take their time, mainly because they can. Now with Keontae being probably shelved for at least a couple of weeks due to a potential concussion, he has to go through concussion protocol. But you did get a lot out of, I think Satania's now getting comfortable. Of course, Kanik has given us what we want. You've got Deion Burks who's still showing up. You got something from Zion Kearney there. He gave you a little bit, so I think you may actually now start seeing more of him going forward. I'm ready to see Elijah Thomas, just kind of waiting on that. And him and Jermichael Carter are the 2 that I'm probably ready to see a little bit more out there. So I think we've probably got about 5 or 6 receivers, and I think we'll be okay. But I would not be surprised if Giovanni goes out for a snap or 2 in this Auburn game just to kind of see how they react to it. And then we see a big slate of him against Kent State.
Yeah, I would say this. Barring any type of setback, I think that within the next 2 games, you're going to see Giovanni. I would like to say that the last report I heard that he was running around 93%. That was last week. So with that being said, you don't want to push him because it's not like a complete necessity. It's the worst thing that you can do is try to run him out for 5 to 10 snaps next week and something get tweaked, something, get messed around with. But Jaden, I would just say this is if you're waiting on Jaden Gibson this year, there's a lot to come back from there. He hasn't played football now in almost 2 years. And so you got to kind of, last season, if he was cleared to run 100% this week, he's still 3 weeks away. So that's a good chunk of time. So a year and a half. But like you said, I did talk to Keontae Lewis's dad. Right after it happened, he said he's good. Now that's not meaning that he's just ready to go play next week. If he clears protocols, I think he can. But that's going to be a few days before we hear anything about that. But like I said, and we see it in the chat here is you can go out, and John Mateer held off as long as possible. I think that they went really, really straightforward and vanilla too in this game. The only thing that I saw was, Arbuckle pull a little bit more screens. But that being said, I think that you're still you're with John Mateer, you're going to get a lot of like, oh my gosh, look at that. Oh my gosh, look at that. And then you're going to get a lot of, the moments where you're like, why did he do that? And those, we're going to turn the ball over some. You continue to get the 3 and outs, and they can never get into an offensive rhythm. And I think that that's what's going to happen next week is you're going to have this defense really saying, I mean, we know what Jackson Arnold can do well and what he can't do well.
Yeah, we've seen him.
There ain't no red or blue jersey on him next week.
At all.
And so you get to go tell those guys that you told to back off during, fall practices last year, hey, full ahead. And you put Jaden Jackson, David Stone, Dom Williams, you put those guys clouding up that middle, and the linebackers and safeties running around freely hitting, hits on Jackson. We've seen what Jackson Arnold did even against Baylor this year when stuff kind of got chaotic. So your offense just needs to take advantage of the opportunities they got right in front of them. I'd like to see more chemistry on those deep balls, but I think that you can afford to work through some stuff with this defense.
That's the good thing with us is like I said, in this game, there was never a moment of danger. Third down efficiency, they were 3 for 16. Hey, we were 6 for 13 on third down. We actually were getting some conversions. Yard difference, 515 to 104. Like, I'm still just baffled by the fact. And even the time of possession was still close at 32 minutes to 27. So it wasn't like we just held the ball the entire time. They ran offenses. We just did not allow them to do anything that they wanted to do. But it's a good question from Frankie here with RMT out. What's up with Okoye? He wasn't dressed for this game. I'm assuming he's probably going to play in the Auburn game, or they may have him suit out and get an opportunity. Wyatt Gilmore, though. Did you see that? You see why Gilmore go through? Hey, man, I didn't realize, I was not familiar with his game. He got a sack and a tackle for the loss in this game, and he might be somebody that we're going to be getting pretty excited about. And Taylor Wine's going to get a ton. Tell him, Jake, he's going to get a ton of snaps. I'm excited that this defensive line feels like a Brent Venables defensive line. They showed a graphic in this game, and I'm going to say this before we wrap up. And I had to take a screenshot of it because I felt like it was a great way to point out, and we'll talk about this more in depth on Sunday evening, but at Clemson, his first season, BV's points per game were 24.8 that allowed. Then the second year was 22.2, third year 16.7, and then the fourth year was 21.7, and that was the year they played in the Natty. For us right now, it's 30, 23.5, 21.5, and at the time of this graphic, it was 8. It ain't 8 no more. It's less than that. It's probably closer to 6 because we only gave up 3 points. Once again, I haven't done the math yet, but we gave up
5.3.
5.3. There you go. We've given up 5.3 points per game so far this season. And now we get actual game data from another team coming up this week against Auburn. Coop, what's your final thoughts? Let's get up out of here.
Hey, listen, you had to produce your own energy. You had to come with intention. You had to come with you had to bring your own juice. They stoked the fire a little bit with the graphic, and that gave you something. But again, they had zero fan help. They had nothing driving them and pushing them, and the defense did phenomenal. I think the offense played with their food a little bit. You got a little bit too cutesy on some stuff, and but the coaching staff has stuff on both sides of the ball where they can bring it right back in and say, we got to be better here, guys. We can't afford to do these types of things next week and going on. And so you've got a full week. You're 100% Auburn. There's no need to plan because you got a bye in Kent State coming up. So there's none of that. So they're going to get after it. There's going to be a lot of conversation going on. But John Mateer still showed out. He still had his highlights. He had the stiff arm where he threw the defensive lineman down on the ground and came back and threw to Kanik. So he got him some more Heisman moments today. And there's a good chance that OU is sitting in the top 10 tomorrow.
Yep. They put the numbers they're supposed to, and John Mateer got his Heisman campaign moment. There's so much more things to talk about. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, bell notification for this channel, Locked On Sooners. Me and John will dive into a lot of stuff. Check out Coop at Eric_Cooper82 over on the Expert. You can find me at Unfair Sports. The show is Locked On Sooners everywhere you do your social medias or whatnot. For your next listen, feel free to check out our people over there at the College Football Kickoff Show every Thursday, actually. Some of the best minds go out there and talk a bunch of college football. It's our Amazon Fire TV. If you have one, check it out. So Locked On and Fire TV presents the College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation, along with two-time AP Coach of the Year, Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and the Locked On local experts. And I kind of expect us to be on there this week because we've got Auburn. So a college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season only on Fire TV. We will talk to each and every single one of you very soon. Boomer Sooner.